Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Well, at this point, it's our custom to introduce ourselves. Is there anybody here who's new or returning after a long absence? Yes. Would you like to tell us your name and where you're from?
I'm Jack McClure. I live at Diamond Heights. I've known you and Richard, a couple people.
Welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
And how about on Zoom? Is there anybody new or returning after a long absence? Please unmute and say hello. And tell us your name. Okay, well, I take it that means everybody is an old-timer. In that case, we'll go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Henry.
Dhanadasa.
John.
Jerry. Jack.
Jerry. Stephen.
Matthew.
Kevin. Alex.
Grace.
Risha.
My name is Cass.
My name is Lee.
Judge.
Tony.
Great. And online, let's see, we have Ron, Andres, Bob, Bruce, Clint, Daniel, Frisco, Gary, Harley, Jim, Joe, Larry, Michael, Richard, Steve, Timothy, Tom, and other Tom. So welcome everybody. Let me tell you a little bit about our speakers today. Dhanadasa Chan has been practicing with the San Francisco Buddhist Center, which is this place where we're sitting, community since 1993, and was ordained in 2011. His current area of exploration is the cultivation of metta, universal loving kindness, as a response to all the hatred, discrimination, and bigotry in the world out there. And John Del Bagno is a poet, spoken word performer, visual artist, and gerontologist. After meditating every day for over 2 decades, John turned to the Pure Land Way, which relies on Amitabha Buddha and recitation of the Buddha name. His book, Hope from the Pure Land Way in Unnerving Times, is a collection of essays, poems, and prints. Learn more at purelandartwork.com. And they have prepared a special multimedia event today. So, ready for you guys.
All right. Hello, hello. Fantastic. Hello, everyone. So to start with, I just wanted to say a little something about this presentation that we're going to do. So John and I, we're very old friends. We've known each other for about 30 years. We met here at the San Francisco Buddhist Center. And John and I, we have a long-standing friendship, which includes some ups and downs. And the downs have actually made our friendship actually much stronger, having come out of that. And we also have a very strong connection, a practice connection as well. Because those of you who heard John's presentation a few months ago, he spoke about the Pure Land, the Japanese Pure Land tradition. Well, actually, the Pure Land tradition, not just Japanese. And it was through John. He's the one who really introduced me to Pure Land practice. And when I first became exposed to Pure Land practice, something about this way of practicing really touched me very deeply. And John was instrumental in guiding me in the Pure Land practice. So we share that very deep practice connection. So we were hanging out about a month ago, and I told John, hey, I'll be presenting at GBF on, December 17th, kind of end of the year. And John was asking, so what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I don't feel giving a Dharma talk, it's kind of the holidays. You know what? How about we do something together? Like something around art and poetry and the imagination, do some chanting. So we just started brainstorming together, and I decided, I'm not going to give a Dharma talk, but rather we're just going to share some poetry, some art, some chanting, and it's all dharmically inspired in the hopes that you too shall be inspired as well by this. So we'll start with this poem that I read during the meditation, For a New Beginning, by John O'Donohue. And this poem, it has been a guided meditation for me for about the last 2 to 3 months. There's something about this poem that really speaks to my heart, that touches my heart. And it also feels like a very appropriate time to bring this poem to the fore as well. Actually, just to be clear, technically this is not a poem, it's a blessing. So John O'Donohue, he wrote a book called To Bless the Space Between Us, and it's a collection of blessings. So rather than saying it's a poem, this is actually a blessing. And I think it's a very good time to bring this blessing to the fore, because end of the year, I know that this is true for me and true for many others as well, is end of the year, there's a very natural tendency to look back at the past year and also to look forward at the year coming. So this poem, A New Beginning, very much speaks to this process of assessing where it is that we've been and where it is that we'd like to go to. So a new beginning. So I'd like to open it up to all of you. Is there anything in this blessing that has kind of struck your imagination or touched your heart? Anything come up for you in regards to this blessing? Any images?
I really like the idea of unfurling yourself into the grace of beginning. So to open up, to unrestrict, like to get rid of the restrictions.
I'm reminded of an old girlfriend who said that she had lost her virginity many times. This speaks to that to me. I mean, that being sort of born again and renewed again happens repeatedly in our inner life, and I think this captures it beautifully. Thank you.
That line is still unable to leave what you had outgrown. That kind of describes what I've been feeling. I'm already sort of disappointed and sort of done with many things in my life psychologically, and I still continue out of habit, still indulging in desires that never were able to fulfill the promise. And there is something sweet in it and natural that it has to go this way. So it takes time and it's okay. There is another part which is watching this natural process and there is this hope and a promise that it's at somewhere at the end. And it made me feel content with where I am. Just inspiring.
Thank you. And are there any shares from our Zoom folks? Just feel free to unmute yourselves and go ahead and share.
I love the stanzas. I watched you play with the seduction of safety, and how that poem shares, or that stanza talks about being sort of stuck, but then the next stanza, I love how it transitions, moves to, but then with delight your courage is kindled, and you're stepping into new ground. So like a movement away from being stuck into something new. So that really struck me as being very moving and beautiful.
Thank you, Steve. Jerry.
I like the first stanza, in out of the way places of the heart where your thoughts have never think to wander. And I was like, oh, there's something so else in there that I haven't looked at. And the beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you're ready to emerge. And so it's kind of like when the student's ready, the teacher appears, or something like that.
Suggests a chrysalis. It suggests a chrysalis, a butterfly. Something is happening below the surface. Will reveal itself at some point.
Percolating.
Percolating, yeah. Yeah, well, the lines in this poem, the images that really strike me, this image of it watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered. I love this image of sameness whispering, like in your ear, like sameness, and this like very gray. And it speaks very strongly to how strong our habitual ways of thinking, our habitual ways of acting, how incredibly powerful those patterns are. And basically, whenever we have a lapse in mindfulness, when we just go into default mode, it's our habits that dictate our behaviors, our thought patterns, our speech, all of our actions. So the first step in this process of transformation is to really pay attention to our habitual tendencies, where our mind goes when certain situations arise. So it all begins with self-knowledge. Yeah.
How do you understand the word sameness here? Same to what? I'm not quite sure. I get it.
Well, it's much like what you spoke about.
Repeating the same pattern?
Exactly.
All over?
Yeah, because you mentioned that line, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. So there's a sense of, here's a pattern of behavior that at some point in your life served you very well, but now it's no longer serving you. You can feel that there's something that's binding you to suffering with this pattern. So yes, it's this repetitive, looking for love in all the wrong places, that sort of thing. Yes. Okay, so so as you can see, there are these 4 paintings that we've hung on the wall, and these 4 paintings were actually painted by John. So this is a little art display. So over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Dhanadasa. It's a great honor to be back with all of you again. It was just a few months ago I came and read a bunch of my poetry, and I'm thrilled to be able to share this side of me with you again, or this side of me with you tonight, or today. It's kind of funny because I hadn't painted in over 30 years until this past September. A friend was having a tiki party, and I said, "Oh, I can paint a couple of big palm trees for you on some cardboard and stuff like that." And I just experienced such joy in picking up the brush again and learning about how much paint to load the brush with and get that back in my habitual creative mind. So I started painting again on cardboard at first, and this one is called My Birth in the Pure Land. And it's that sense of the release. Let me explain just a little bit briefly about the Pure Land. Amitabha Buddha is the Buddha of the Pure Land, and by simply reciting his name and wanting to go to the Pure Land, one is met by Amitabha Buddha when one passes away and is taken to his Pure Land, where the conditions are so ripe for spiritual progress that one easily becomes a Buddha. So it's a very different sort of dynamic than the sort of self-power practices of meditation, ethics, study, all these things that we are trying to change ourselves into something, whereas the Pure Land way is the acceptance of our foolish nature and where we're at, and accepting the help of Amitabha Buddha. And so for me, this painting just expresses that sort of release. You know, when we can imagine the release of all our physical suffering, the release of all our emotional turmoil, the release of trying and striving after things that may not really be all that beneficial to us. So it's that sense of, yes! So that's the first painting. This second one here is a self-portrait. I just had my birthday not too long ago, so I thought, well, I'll do a self-portrait. That'll be fun. But put a few messages in here as well. First of all, you'll see Amitabha above my head there. This is one of the ways that we reflect on Amitabha, is by imagining him above our head as we recite his name. You could also imagine him in front of you, or imagine him in the Pure Land. But it really is a path of relationship with a Buddha, relationship with something that's outside our experience and our own precious consciousness, something deeper. And so he's shining his light down onto my heart, which is this is a lesson I'm trying to learn, a heart open to Amitabha's help. So often we can get into doubts and concerns about our practice and such. And I had to ask myself, well, have I really opened my heart to help from the outside? Rather than wonder, oh, is Amitabha real? Is the Pure Land real? Is it actually like they say it is in the sutra? Is it this? Is it that? All those questions really have to do with our ego and cycling round and round our ego. Whereas, how open are we actually to help from the outside? Then when you're facing the painting on the left-hand side, I'm a gerontologist, so this is all of the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've helped over the years. And I realized, my work, I really help people right up until their last day. And I was just reflecting on that, helping people to their last day. And then I wanted to show them becoming spirits. So you've got them becoming spirits, and then in the very top left-hand corner is a symbol for the Pure Land itself. So maybe some of them will wind up in the back. Then on the right-hand side, we've got me doing poetry readings, which is a huge part of my life these days. And Amitabha is facing me because when we say Amitabha's name, Amitabha hears us, and Amitabha's light shines upon us. So it's this instant relationship that we get into with Amitabha Buddha. And I've even painted some of the people from the Pure Land listening in on my poetry reading. Oh, and I almost forgot my favorite figure is this little demon figure down here in the corner. This is all the many things that assault our hearts. And thankfully, with spiritual practice and such, I think we do strengthen our hearts to be able to withstand these things that life throws at us. Then we'll go on to painting number 3. This is 2 Buddhas at play in the Pure Land. I just love that the Pure Land is called the Land of Bliss. So it sounds like a pretty good place to go. You could imagine the travel brochure, "Come to the Land of Bliss." Here we are. And I wanted to catch that sort of joy of the freedoms that I was talking about earlier. And the tree is a big symbol in the Pure Land way. It's the tree of enlightenment that is said to be in the center of the Pure Land. And it's massive. They measure it in these increments called yojanas, which do you know how many yojanas, how many miles in a yojana? It's big, it's big. So they've got this big old tree in there, and I thought, well, when I get to the Pure Land, I'm going to go have some fun and play around with these robes that you can sort of swirl around and such. So that's what's going on in that painting. And then we'll go to number 4, and that painting is a little bit more intense. I was really suffering under all of the outbreaks and ongoing wars that are going on, just many conditions in life and the news that I was seeing. So this one's called Trapped with the Horrors of Human Experience. And I was trying to understand for myself, how does Amitabha support me when I'm living in this world with these horrors that really break my heart? And you'll see in the photo that Amitabha is reaching into this sort of globe that the figure is trapped in. And the figure is experiencing a whole range of different sufferings, including physical pain, viruses, but then also the sufferings of natural disasters, of the gun violence that's going on. There's even an expression there, an image of a plane bombing a neighborhood. And then also infidelity. I was thinking about the heart and what sort of horrors we can experience with that. And so I painted that as well. But then you'll also notice Amitabha's left hand is shining his light on the heart and sort of nourishing us. So for me, even though it's got a pretty intense topic to the painting, for me it is a painting of hope, and that there is some balm that comes from Amitabha to our hearts when we're in relationship with him. So that's the 4 paintings. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, John. You know, whenever John and I we get together, there's always a part where John says, "Would you like to hear some of my new poems?" And he gives me a poetry reading, and then I know when he says, "Well, why don't we get together at my house? I have some new paintings I want to show you." So when he comes to my house, it's a poetry recital. When I go to his house, it's like I get to see his new paintings.
Can I ask?
Sure, please.
Why did you stop painting 30 years ago?
I didn't have enough to say. Yeah, I also had stopped writing poetry for about 15 years, and I needed to get deeper into my practice and into life, as it were. I found that the subjects of my paintings and my poetry was the same old griping that I was doing, and I had to just put it aside. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The angry teenager phase.
which didn't end until my 30s.
I know. Your 30s, that's it. That's not bad.
You don't want to kill them off completely.
That's right. That's right. That's power.
So as you can see, this is one of John's sources of inspiration, is his poetry and painting and creating art. And one of my sources of deep inspiration is chanting, and chanting directly from the Pali Canon. My practice has a very strong connection with sound, and so the sutta. So I'm actually going to chant a sutta for you, the Mangala Sutta. And in the Theravadan world, or the world of early Buddhism, the three suttas that are the most popularly chanted are the Karaniya Metta Sutta, which is the discourse on loving kindness, the Ratana Sutta, which is a discourse on jewels, and this sutta, the Mangala Sutta, which is the discourse on blessings. So I'll tell you a quick little story. In February of 2020, I made my very first pilgrimage to India, and it was at the in Sarnath, and Sarnath is the Buddhist pilgrimage site where the Buddha gave his very first sermon to his 5 former companions. And on this site, there's a large stupa, and there's also a temple as well. And when we were there, we went into this temple, and there was a Thai monk, so shaved head, wearing gold robes, and there was a crowd in there of maybe 60 or 70 people. And this monk was chanting a cappella. And he wasn't really chanting, it was more singing. And it just went right into my heart. I was like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. I could just sit and listen to this Thai monk just chant and just, and that's what everybody was doing in this temple. And it became very clear to me, like, wow, there's something here for me. It's really alive for me. I want to start chanting. I want to bring much more chanting into my practice. So actually, I started studying Pali. That was one of my very first pandemic projects. So I've been teaching myself Pali on and off, which is just a really wonderful practice. So with chanting, when I chant this sutta, there's something about the spoken word that connects me with the Buddha. So keep in mind that for about the first 500 years, Buddhism was an oral tradition. So during the time of the Buddha, nothing was written down. It was all orally transmitted. So if you were a dedicated practitioner and you wanted to learn the teachings of the Buddha, you had to memorize them. And the way in which people memorized the teachings of the Buddha was to chant them. So you can imagine the world of ancient India at the time of the Buddha, just groups of monks just chanting continuously, and just putting these suttas into their memories. So when I chant this Mangala Sutta, I imagine that I'm actually chanting with the Buddha and with the Buddha's disciples. So it connects me in time with the Buddha. And I can imagine generations of practitioners over time just passing this chant down from one generation to the next. And now it's arrived here with us. So I'd like to chant this all for you now in Pali, the original language of the Buddha. And after I chant it, we'll just sit quietly for a couple minutes just to absorb So Henry, if I could ask a favor, when I'm done chanting, 2-ish minutes after I'm done chanting, if you would be so kind just to ring the bell.
We'll do that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Henry. So let's just all get comfortable in our meditation posture. So in our imaginations, let's imagine ourselves in ancient India at the time of the Buddha. And let's imagine going to see the Buddha. At Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery in Savatthi. And let's imagine as we walk towards the dwelling place of the Buddha with all of his disciples. Imagine hearing a group of monks chanting in unison. And let's just imagine taking our seats beside this group of monks and just receiving the blessings of this chant. Mangala Sutta. Evang me sutang ekang samayan bhagavasavatiyang viharati chetavane anathapindaka arame attakau anyataradevata abhikantaya rattiya abhikandavana kevalakappam jetavanam obhasedva yena bhagavatenu pasankami upasankamitva bhagavantam abhivadedva ekamantanathasi ekamantang tithako sadevata bhagavantang gathaya shabasi bahudeva manusacha mangalani achintayan akankamana sotanam bruhi mangalamuttamam asevanacha balanam panditanam cha sevana puja cha pujanyanam etang mangalamuttamam patirupa desavasocha pubecha katta punyata Matta Samapanidicca Etang Mangalamuttamam Bahu Sachang Chastipang Cha Vinayo Cha Susikito Subhasita Cha Yavacha Etang Mangalamuttamam Mata Pitu Upattanam Putadara Sasangaho Anakula Chakamanta Etang Mangalamuttamam Danang Chadamacharya Cha Nyatakanang Cha Sangaho Anavajani Kamani Etang Mangalamuttamam Arati Virati Papa Majapana Cha Sanyamo Apamado Chadamesu Etang Mangalamuttamam Karavocanivato Cha Santuti Chakhatanyuta Kalena Dhamma Savanam Etang Mangalamuttamam Kanti Chasova Chasata Samananang Jadasanam Kalena Dhamma Sagacha Etang Mangalamuttamam Tapo Cha Brahmacharyam Cha Arya Sachana Dasanam Nibbana Sachikiriya Cha Etang Mangalamuttamam Putassa Lokadamehi Chitanyasana Kampati Asokang Vidajang Keman Etang Mangalamuttamam Etadisani Katvana Sabatama Parajita Sabata Sotingachanti Tang Te Sang Mangalamuttamam
As I age, I become old tree, rooted to the earth, through Dharma wheels on the flats of my feet. The long, sinewy tendrils of my roots squirm out through the dirt in every direction. Years on, deep down, way down, I reach a depth where the tips of my roots can just touch earth wisdom. I see that the syrupy flow of life moves through my veins as an ever-present blessing. Sentience, consciousness, coming back around to look at itself. But I am set upon by thunder blast after thunder blast. My bark gets harder, the outer layer forming into long shield shapes. I've got thick branches, firm, but going brittle. Storm, damage, wind, snap, deep cracks hobble some of my limbs. Yet old tree keeps waiting, waiting for the seed of another life to drop. But this next seed, it will land in the Pure Land, to germinate and become all golden of light itself. Oh, the kindness in Amitabha's realm, the fussing and fighting here of human society, unthinkable in the Pure Land. There is no grasping, no hatred, and even ignorance is quickly blooming into insight. So old tree stands, a process, a momentum of life come to fruition and fading away. And a day will come when I will be all tumbled down. But until then, I will wear my years with pride, and someday trade them for a place in Amitabha's Pure Land. So this second poem I'm going to read is the first line that's on this poem here. It's called Amitabha's Karma Carries Me. I have released into the wind of Amitabha's pure karma. It carries me along, a dandelion seed parachute caught up on the breeze. There is no more for me to do. I float, I wait, knowing that when the seed touches the earth, life will remake itself. Knowing that when I get to the Pure Land, my consciousness will make the great shift, and all that was I will be enlightenment. And now the last poem. A lot of times when somebody passes away, we feel very sad that they've left us, that they're leaving all the things of this world. Well, this poem I titled, Don't Be Sad for Me. When my karma has finally run thin, and my body is broken and blue, don't be sad for me. I have a lot to celebrate, for I will be turned loose. No longer tacked to the wheel of life after life, the human habit will be abandoned, and I will be bound for the Pure Land. You see, Amitabha knows me, knows my voice calling his name. When my breath has gone away and it won't be coming back, Amitabha will be there to meet me. Oh, to be in that moment, to finally be in his presence just amazing. His great golden radiance, brighter than the sun, yet soft as the light from a lover's bedside lamp. So I will walk out the gates of old age, sickness, and death, and go with Amitabha back to the Pure Land. There I will step out onto my lotus, floating on a turquoise lake. I'll take my seat and listen to teachings directly from Amitabha, which free my heart and purify my mind. So don't be sad for me, and you have a bountiful life yourself. When you finally do arrive in the Pure Land, come find me. Look for the musicians up in the clouds floating above, and I'll be down there below, on top of one of the bridges that curve over clear canals, there where everyone dances in bliss. I suspect that's where I'll be spending a lot of my time.
Thank you all for your kind attention. And John and I all wish you happy holidays. Hopefully. Happy holidays with all drama and whatnot.
Good. Well, thank you all so much. Appreciate being here. And thank you for inviting me, Don.
A good time was that.
Thank you, Mr. Daza and John. Do we have any announcements?
Yes, I'm your host today. Please stay and enjoy the company of the song. There are refreshments and hot water for tea. If you use a cup, please wash it. No, you can just put it in the sink. I'll take care of it. I'll be going around with the Don Bowl to accept contributions to cover our expenses. Your generosity is appreciated. Donations in the range of $10 to $20 help the Sangha meet its expenses. These include honorarium for our Dharma speakers, rent for this beautiful center, and hopefully in the future, monthly dinners at the Larkin Youth Street services. Our quarterly newsletter, mainly mailed mostly to people in prison. There's a newcomer's sign-up sheet on the credenza. If you wish to be included and receive our Sangha membership directory, please sign up and include contact information you wish to share with the group. Some members go out for lunch after the meeting. Everyone is welcome to join them. The group meets at the front door around 12:30 p.m.
Any other announcements?
I have an announcement. I've had about a 50-year relationship, collaborative relationship with Shakespeare, which began with a reading group by a bunch of college students that transformed into a performance group where we lived together and performed Shakespeare in the Bay Area for about 5 years in the 1970s. Though, even as much as we enjoyed performing, we never lost sight of the intrinsic value of the reading experience, which was something different than performing it. And so even after the troupe disbanded, we continued sporadically to get together when we could, choose a Shakespeare play and act it out with the books in our hands. And as part of my transition from full-time teaching through retirement, we're starting to do more formal readings. And even though at the time we never really explicitly acknowledged it, the readings had a certain quality to them that were not unlike other mind-body practices like yoga, meditation, qigong, and so I'm inviting people who might be interested in getting together and acting out a play by Shakespeare. The one that we'll be doing is The Tempest, which is chock full of Dharma, and we'll be approaching. It's a mindful approach to the reading. The kind of warm-up we'll do will be just some breath and body scanning relaxation so that we're open and relaxed in letting that language inhabit us. And for those of us who have been doing this for a number of years, we truly believe that the poetry in that heightened language has the same kind of subtle transformative powers as chanting or a mantra. So if you're interested, it's a time and place to be determined, but it will probably most definitely be a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. So if you're interested, here, folks at home, I think my name's Matthew Parafano, and you can, if you have access to the directory, you can contact me directly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Yeah, I've got a quick announcement. So the poems that John read is from a book that he wrote about the Pure Land, and there's copies of his book for sale just sitting on the coffee table out there in the break area. Would you like to say a few words about your book?
And available on Amazon, so just search for my name. And it's got I was doing before returning to painting, I was doing lino cut prints as well, so this book has artwork in it as well.
And your last name?
Del Bagno. Del Bagno. DELBAGNO.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
John of the Bathroom.
Of the Bath.
Oh, I'm sorry. John of the Bath. My bad.
So, at this point, we'll stand to dedicate the merit. Would one of you like to dedicate the merit?
Sure. Is there a script I can read? Or?
I don't have a written script.
Perhaps you'd like to do it, Henry.
I said you got the newsletter? On the back of the newsletter, I think.
Oh, we should just do that.
Is there something I could read? Yeah, I'd love to.
By the power and truth of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. May all never be separated from the sacred happiness which is without sorrow. And may all live in equanimity, without too much attachment or too much aversion, believing in the equality of all that lives.
That's great. You're such a creative. You're well balanced.
Did you have to work the title?
heart and the imagination.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.